I'm sorry, I've waited till this. Does anybody want to speak to anything for this meeting? I'll take that. I'd like to bring the meeting to order. It's May 1st, 2023, 7 o'clock. And, Mr. Mayor, could you give us our invocation?
Everyone bow with me, please. Father, we just give you thanks, Lord, for another beautiful day that you bless us with in this great county that we call home. Father, I pray as we do the work that you call us to do, Lord, that we do it to honor you in your name. Father, we pray all this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. So get a motion to approve the agenda. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Could I get a approval of the minutes? Somebody make a motion. Motion. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. I do not have a report, Mr. Mayor.
The only report that I have is, I'll address these other items, but I don't understand I do not have a proposal for the archive building. So, we may be discussing some bids, but, those bids aren't my proposed. So, just want to make sure that that's correct.
Okay. Yeah, we can talk about that when we get to it, so. Okay, there is no recognition of the public. Nobody signed up for it. So we'll go directly to 8A, old business. Architectural report for Sumner County Jail. I believe you were going to have that 2 weeks ago, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, we've got the architect here to speak to that, to give us a report, if that's okay with the chair.
Sure, absolutely. State your name and address.
My name's Steve Griffith.
Okay.
I'm Jacob Cherry, Alder, Texas.
Well, what'd you find?
Well, let me kind of introduce you a little bit. We're both architects with Woe AE, formerly Hartley and Roberts, which is probably more well known in this part of the state. We've been trying to gather a lot of information about the existing system. We're going to do an infrared flyover that should tell us if there's moisture in the insulation. If there is, we'll probably recommend you take it off. We're doing an investigation. We took core samples this week. You today, as a matter of fact. And we have those samples in hand. What was the other thing we were going to do, Jacob?
Yeah, so we started with, Kim gave us a call. We went up on the roof to look at the straight line wind storm that we had. It's probably been a month and a half now or so. And looked at the upper portion of the penthouse on top of the jail facility and peeled back. So we started looking into the costs for a couple different types of replacements for that. One would be a conventional re-roof to go back to the exact same system we have. The other was considered a non-conventional approach, which would be to put a new elastomeric coating over your existing roof system. Those obviously have different costs and different parameters for how you use them. So in order for us to get an accurate cost, I think we gave a basis to you about how much it costs for us to do this work, and the missing piece there is what is the overall cost of that project. As I understood it, the budget that you had available, based on the information we were given, was not going to cover the entire facility, so we wanted to do a little bit more investigation, more targeted in what we were recommending. The folks that we had talked to used to work at Maxwell Roofing. They're the ones who did your original proposals in 2017, 2018, and then gave you a couple costs in 2020. So we're trying to reconfirm those numbers using the same folks who did that original estimate. And the couple of costs that we had looked at are dependent upon the condition of your existing system. So the conventional re-roof approach Once you tear off that membrane, you can assess all potential damage, replace insulation in places where it has been damaged or where it's got moisture that it's holding. We saw a leak document that showed a significant number of leaks across the facility, so we expect that the insulation is not in what I would call prime condition to be replaced. When you do the elastomeric coating over your existing roof system, that would trap any water that's in that system in place and would not be something that would hold up over time.
It would be.
Start to delaminate, bubble, you'd have people coming back out to try and fix something that you thought you paid got the same warranty as the conventional approach. So we got a couple folks involved. Number one, we wanted to look at whether or not we're going to be able to have good competition. The existing PDM roof coating that you have there is conventional. It's very widely used across the industry. Multiple manufacturers make it. The elastomeric coating that we looked into, we were initially given a product by one manufacturer. We can get a 20-year warranty out of it. We said, we're not comfortable with doing a sole spec, so we started looking into other manufacturers that may offer that. And in that way, we can have good coverage whichever way you go. And then the roofing contractors that we have involved right now are essentially taking core samples to evaluate the insulation for things you can't see, look at the roof membranes, identify whether it's a good candidate for recoating or if it's not, and then also be able to do a thermal flyover to give us a better idea of how much insulation would need to be replaced. You're going to reach a critical mass at some point where you say, we've got so much that needs to be replaced that it doesn't make sense to look at a retrofit application, or you'll identify that it's a small area of insulation that needs to be replaced, and you can look at a non-conventional approach. So we're still in the evaluation stage right now. That's generally the gist of it.
You know, one of the things that concerns us a little bit is, first of all, we've never used this coating system. It's liquid membrane, actually. We've never used it, because in the past, there was only maybe one or two manufacturers, and they weren't well known. But now we've discovered we've got at least 3 or 4 manufacturers.
You're referring to the polyurethane.
I mean, it's a coating with a file on top of membrane, yeah.
It's actually even, it's not.
Okay, so you're talking about the wet suit.
Yes, so
There's other companies comparable to Wet Suit. You know, they seem to have a good reputation. They gave a lot of good information.
It's a two-part spring.
Yeah. So we looked at tried to find other companies that make it so we get a competitive bid. We found 2 or 3 other companies that make it. You know, my problem is, when you talk about coating something, you got to come back and recoat it sometime. You know, so they have a 20-year warranty. One of the things we want to research is make sure that warranty does not require you to come back in a certain period of time and recoat it.
Right, but that coating is good for 20 years.
Right,
Yeah.
but sometimes in the past I've run across where the warranty says it's good for 20 years, but you have to come back and do remedial repairs in the interim to make it good for 20 years. Well, you don't want to do that. But we're going to research it, that so we don't want you to have pitfalls.
Like mandated inspections over a certain amount of years.
It's essentially in the maintenance program. So part of that maintenance program might say at year 10, you have to do X, and at year 15, when you start looking at the replacement or the value of actually doing the work, they might prorate your cost and then say, well, you're only going to get this much out of it. So in that case, you would have gotten a shorter life expectancy over a shorter period of time. It's going to increase your cost.
Our specs will require whoever does that work to be certified by the manufacturer.
So the perimeter of the 6-story tower, that's a redo, right? Isn't that gone, that roofing? I mean, it was ripped off pretty bad.
Yeah, we suspect it is because we think the insulation got wet. And with wet insulation, Jacob said you don't want to entrap the water between the membrane, a new membrane or a liquid membrane and the roof deck. That would be catastrophic.
Right.
And then you would lose your insulative properties of the insulation, so your energy costs would go up.
Right.
There were also portions of the wood blocking that holds all the trim in place that were seen to be bad. So they had been experiencing some water intrusion over time. That this is not a new problem. It's something that it's just...
Yeah, the edges lift right up, the sheet metal was pulling up.
So part of your traditional replacement program where you tear off the entire membrane. No roofing manufacturer is going to do that without replacing the perimeter metal system. So that gets generally baked into any cost that you have. If you were looking at the fluid applied approach, then there's probably remedial steps that you have to take before you ever get to the point where you can actually apply that system over.
But we're gonna have an assessment made of the EPDM to see if it would be able to withstand the liquid membrane,
Yeah.
if you would adhere to it.
What I understand about the existing mass of the roof, that EPDM has a fiber mesh in it.
Yes.
And it's ripping itself apart.
Yeah, it's
It was
reinforced.
an idea that sounded good, didn't quite work.
No, it didn't.
But I would think that the wetsuit, you know, will fill those voids if it doesn't continue.
Well, we should have all this research done this week.
Great.
So
Are you flying the infrared
Yeah.
this week as well?
As long as weather permits.
Yeah.
We should have all the information gathered up this weekend. We're ready to start drawing it next week.
Okay, great.
We know that you need it, and based on what we've talked about, and what we've seen, you probably had issues with that roof before the high winds hit.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the guys there at the jail they gave me a plan that showed every leak on the entire place.
Yeah, they got a lot of time on their hands, yeah.
Yeah, they had a lot of stuff. Does anybody have any questions for the gentleman?
Well, thanks for letting us work with you on this project. And I just want to say one thing, I'm so glad to see Bethel Brown's name outside. I knew him for a long, long time, and I know his son used to work for us. So they're good.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're good. He's a really good person. I used to get off the interstate just to see him. I didn't have no reason to see him, I just stopped in and say hello. He was a good guy. But thank you for letting us do this, and we'll get this done as quick as we possibly can.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so in another week, Mr. Mayor, can you get the copies of the reports to all of us?
I'll get it out as soon as I get it.
Fabulous.
Can this come off, or do you need to see it again?
We can bring it, we can take it off, and then we'll bring it back up after we've reviewed the report. Okay, item B, Mayor, you're back in the batter's box.
Well, the health department renovation, we're gonna exceed $50,000.
Right.
So at that point, we just hire an architect to go in and tell us what we need.
Okay.
We'll need that appropriation from the budget committee
For the architect?
for the architect.
Do you have any idea what that will be?
No, no.
Okay.
No, I can inquire and, get a dollar amount to the budget chairman. Yeah.
The sooner the better.
Yeah.
I know they're chomping at the bit there.
Is there a procedural thing there with looking at what we want to renovate and then getting an architect involved after we see what we want to do versus hiring an architect first?
Well, as
An architect is not a designer or a, remodel
Well,
person.
Actually, an AIA would be, because he would probably hire a space planner to do it. And I know that they are, Hal Hendricks is, they're feeling like they need to make some changes with some walls and stuff. The HVAC system is big and old, and just inundates that attic. And it's an R22 system, so probably that's gonna have to be done. So I think, John, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we have to get maybe take bids from architects, get one on board and have him meet with Hal, and 1 or 3 or 5 of us can meet with him, and just so that we understand what's going on.
Yeah, this will be a pretty comprehensive renovation.
Yeah.
So the architect
So-
will be the remodel.
But they'll be the lead on
The
it.
contractor.
Right, yeah, and we'll need to get that to the state for the grant portion of it, because, we'll only have 25% of county money in that project.
Oh, is that right?
The state will have, yeah.
Okay, I didn't.
So and Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, but we did find out that we could use that money for the renovation.
So we'll have to follow this.
But we have to come up with 25% cash rather than donating land, which is what we were doing out on the other project for the new build.
Well, that's good to know. I thought we were going to bear the burden of the whole thing ourselves.
No.
Okay, so, go ahead.
Council, I just need a motion to move forward, or
I don't know, do we need a motion to move it
I'll do a
forward?
motion, move the budget.
Okay,
I'll make the motion.
okay, you make a motion, do we have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay. New business. Now, one of the documents I sent out to everybody's emails is 37 pages. I originally talked to Randall Coy, who was in charge of that whole project, and he, I was originally going to have him come, and then he told me about this report that he does monthly, and he's just going to copy us on it. However, for some reason, I can read it on my computer, but when I passed it on to you all, it didn't translate. So I will try to do that, and get it in a way that you all can receive it. The long and short of it is that probably is most important to us. I mean, there's a lot of detail in it, 37 pages. But the long and short of it is they plan on starting that parking structure this month, the month of May. Weather permitting, they'll be breaking ground. And so that's a good thing. You know, I know we're told that it won't be done for a year, but when I was talking to Randall, he said, I'm going to do everything I can to get it as close to the opening of the courthouse as I can. And I believe that you can make some things happen there, so. And I will tonight, tomorrow, try to get that in a format that you all can get it, and I will send it out to everybody. So, that's item 9A. 9B, discuss cost difference on the archive building between the chairman's proposals and the mayor's proposals. What I include, or what I had included in this package is TLC Pro Roofing, who gave me the proposal originally on the parapet wall for a 45 mil EPDM. And it was going to cost shy of $32,000, has also given us a proposal to remove the handrail. And I know that the mayor has been concerned about structural concerns on that. And so he was trained as a structural engineer. He doesn't have his license now, but he went through and he determined that a standard vinyl siding is about a half a pound a square foot, whereas the EPDM is about half of that, about 0.25 or 0.26 pounds per square foot. So there would be a net reduction in weight. And then, of course, by removing the handrail, which is a fairly stout structure, it's very heavy C-channel. I did take our engineer, Marshall Boyd, up there, and he concurred with me and this contractor who was a structural engineer, that the net effect will be a reduction. However, I know the mayor is concerned about liability. The proposal TLC has given us is under $50,000, so it wouldn't require an architect. However, I don't want to get in the way of the mayor's concerns about liability, if that's a major concern of yours.
Well, in speaking with the finance director, we see it as one project. Now, if it's going to fall under $50,000, that's fine, but that will have to go through the bid process.
Absolutely.
So, and the only other one, I've seen one here at 47, that was the first gentleman that you called. His was at 47,000. At that point, that was without removing the railing. So, I don't know what the difference is in the quotes.
Well, the first one that I gave you, and I gave you at our last Gen Ops meeting was, I just gave you a written, a document. I didn't send you electronically. That was 31,000 and change for just the EPDM part. Removal of the vinyl siding, put new EPDM, put a new metal top on,
Right.
and new vents.
Yeah, what I'm referencing is Perry Roofing, who you called a while back,
Yeah,
and theirs came in at $47,000.
okay. That's the group that you got, right? Yeah, Terry,
Yeah.
Terry had them up to do some minor repairs on the road.
Yeah, so,
So PLC has given us a proposal to do the removal of everything, including the handrail, and put back EPDM, that they would adhere to the existing EPDM roof. New sheet metal, new vents for just under $47,000. So,
what my suggestion would be is let's write the bid specs, put it out to bid, do the sealed bid process, get those bids back, and we'll talk about it then. That way we have numbers that we can actually agree to.
great, that's great.
And that'll be the legal way, and we can move forward at that point.
Okay, motion?
No,
Oh, question. Okay.
So, if I could ask,
Yes,
Mr. Mayor, you said through the specs for the bid, is that what we're gonna go with? Do we need to make a decision on what TLC quoted, or who's gonna make the bid specs that we put out?
Well, we'll write the bid specs, but they'll be based on what y'all have discussed, those items. I've got them written down, I don't have them with me.
Like the removal of the
But,
handrail?
yeah, it would,
Material.
yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to forward this to Kim, or do you want me to?
No,
You want, okay,
Yeah.
great.
yeah.
Chairman, I'll make a motion just to rate the bid specs off of this proposal, just use the information on here, rate the bid specs.
Second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, this was one, item C. Mr. Mayor, according to one of the contractors I spoke with, we've increased the capacity of the chiller by 16 tons from its original specification, and I have no idea why, so I wanted to ask you about that. Sure. That came to...
Yeah, that came with the recommendation of our current service technician cover group. In 2005, this year was put in 2001. 2005, we built out the third floor, which effectively added more square footage. This has had constant strain on the current chiller, and so they recommended that we increase it to meet that capacity of the third floor.
Okay. Did they run calculations on it? Did they have an engineer?
They would have done all of that.
Okay. And have we had anybody check those specs?
Yep, yeah, all those specs came in, and the final bids that we got 4 bids in. Comfort Group, I know we had said 350, but Comfort Group actually came in at $256,117.
Wow.
So that would be the cost of that. Now, the other cost that we will have, it would be a small cost from the highway department where they have to build out the pad. That's going to be a cost no matter what chiller we win, because they're different sizes now. But we'll have a small cost with that, but that should take care of everything. Current lead time is still 41 to 43 weeks.
Okay, so the 256 does include the new electrical wiring or the moving of the wiring and the chiller pipe?
That will be everything.
Okay, so the only thing it doesn't include is the pad,
Right.
and Toby's going to do that.
Right.
Great. Okay. Any questions from anybody else? Go ahead.
Well, I'll just make a motion to approve this again, and send it back to budget for approval.
Do we need to?
It's already been approved, we've already issued PO.
Okay, so...
So, yeah, we're just, it was back on the agenda, so I just wanted to answer any questions you had.
So any action that we need to take with that?
Eric, do we need to
No, I believe you just brought it up, that answer, that
Yeah.
specific question,
Yeah.
so, and they've already, like the mayor said, moved it through, so he's got a PO, we're good.
Okay. Tim, you're okay?
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Okay, this item D has had some major changes, and I've been advised to ask legal what we even talk about here, if anything, regarding progress on...
Mr. Chairman, with the recent events from this morning, I would say that anything related to TRCs needs to be dealt with in a executive session.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Can we have something like that later on at the end of the meeting and get to discussing? Is there anything to talk about yet from your point?
I can entertain any questions, but no decision making, and, yes, you can finish out the public side of this meeting, and then adjourn the public side, we can just do the executive, that's up to you all.
After this meeting?
I don't have anything, but I would like to hear anything, if anybody else has questions or you've got some information to share with
Okay.
us.
Would anybody like to discuss anything in this public arena?
I thought it was just the plans, and weird.
Just the what?
The plans.
Yeah, and I'll figure out how to, for the maintenance group, you talk, yeah. Yeah, I don't know why those didn't come through either. Okay, well then, we will move on from that. Item E, the reason I brought this into the agenda is, I thought, Mr. Mayor, you said something about having a finalized list. Oh, is that what that is there? Okay.
Actually, we back to be real quick, we're not talking about the maintenance, plan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do we have maintenance plans yet?
We do have, we do, but they didn't come through. And so I need to figure out how to get into the format.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Nothing you can speak of yet on it?
Well, it's all done, the electrical is laid out, the framing is all done, and, I'm sorry, I guess I saw TRC building, and I jumped the gun here, so, yeah, I will give you those drawings, and you can look at them, and we worked them out with the maintenance group. Terry was part of it, and so was Jeff. And so they're satisfied with what we've got. I will, do we need to approve that floor?
That's what I was gonna ask, is there action needs to be taken on it? I don't wanna wait till next month to hear about that.
Yeah, well, that's,
Chairman, with respect, I would have a hard time approving the floor plan that I have not seen.
okay, okay.
No one's seen it, so it would be difficult to approve.
I don't want to go there, I'm just saying, if there's something, if we could do, a quick meeting next Monday, when most of us are gonna be here for some of the other committee meetings, something where we could.
If we would like to do that, we absolutely can do that, if everybody's in favor of that. Mr. Mayor, you have something to say?
Yeah, do we have a budget attached to this move?
No, and that's the other thing that I wanted to have before we proved anything, was a rough budget. I'm gonna get it out to a couple of contractors, and if you want the maintenance guys to take a shot at it, let's see if we could do that too. And then, once we've got a whole package, I thought we could pass that on to budget to reduce their work. If that sounds good to everybody. And I'm really sorry, I thought, I can pull it up right now on my computer, and you can see the floor plan. I don't know why it didn't translate.
I mean, I don't waste time trying to figure it out, but if it's something you, it's an action item, we can do tonight to get the ball rolling, I think, pushing this one down the road.
Right, so it's a pretty simple floor plan.
Mr. Chairman, can we make a motion to establish a budget, get a budget established, and then come back once that's done with the floor plan, and make a final decision to push on?
Yeah, we can.
Because we
still missing a budget thing, it's regarding to
We're still missing it. Yeah, we only got this done late last week because the electrical layout was finished on Friday, I think. So there wasn't time to create, so,
Can we discuss this before you make a motion? I want to ask you a question on that. Yeah, no, that's fine. I didn't make a motion per se, so I know we're headed that way, yeah, but we can make a motion to do that, kind of discussion also too. Well, I don't know that we can, because if we approve up to a certain amount, we've tried that before, budget, what's the real numbers, to get a quote on the changes that we're actually, like, we need to see the plan to get the amount of money we have in mind for the budget. Yes. We'll put a cart before the horse on that. That's what I was proposed for a motion, is just a motion to create the budget. Off the plan and look at it. Yeah, and then come back and look at it all together. If this is what everybody's agreeing on, as going to be planned, I guess we could make a budget based on that with a quote.
yeah. Yeah, we don't know how to get it to the screen anyway, so. What I'll do is I'll have, I'll get this in an electronic form that you all can see, and then I will actually have to print it as well. Yeah, Karen, I'll make a motion, just to, let's get a budget put together for the move. Okay. Based on that. Based on this. I second that. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And then can we get that, quote possibly by next week?
Possibly.
If it happens, can we do a special meeting next Monday possibly?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be here, so, yeah, I'll be here. So, do we need to set that, or should we wait till a little closer?
Can you email us?
I will.
Find out.
I will, and if we can get it formed. But yeah, I will
I'll
get the
email
quote.
if we can do it.
I will get the quote to you as well. All right. Okay, so this is the final list, back to item E.
That is a listing of all of our units throughout the county. The ones that are shaded are the R-22s
Okay.
that at some point are going to need attention. And then you'll see, each one, we've got the size of it and the approximate cost. If you look at it as a total, get my eyes on here, $1.372 million to replace those.
Okay. Now, Mr. Mayor, as you know, Commissioner Boyd and her husband and I went through the service records and really found no problems with any of these units. So I would suggest that there's no rush in changing any of them out, especially since we've got a new Freon coming up in a year. So what are you suggesting here?
My only concern is the lead time. If we get our lead times down where we can react when it goes out, just wait till it go out. That's my only concern is lead time.
Can I ask you,
Yeah.
do we have a tentative lead time? Has the comfort group given us like how long on each of these? I know the big chiller was a huge lead time.
It's a bit less, I don't have the exact, do you remember? It was less than, I want to say it was like 4 months.
Like, these are small ton, it's like
Yeah.
10 tons,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, these are smaller units, some are 2 tons, some are bigger. It varies.
We should make a motion to discuss, and get a second.
Motion to discuss.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Mr. Chair, I have a question, and I guess I'll direct it to the mayor, but...
Sure.
On normal
maintenance items such as this, do we have a maintenance budget that this would come out of?
This would be more of a capital project. Yeah.
All right, and so if...
Yeah, the service agreement would come out of the maintenance.
The maintenance, okay. All right, and then, are you making any recommendations at this point to do it all at one time? You just said that as they go out.
Yeah, it's, it's just how we want to address it. If we want to be aggressive, knowing that the R-22 is going away, if we want to do phase in, we've talked about doing some units each year and not taking one big chunk, maybe addressing the worst ones first and then moving, as they go out, just replacing them. The only problem with waiting is having the funds allocated. I have no problem waiting till they go out. It's just, dealing with lead times and actually having the funds, capital funds allocated for them.
Commissioner Miller?
I'm just looking through these. What's the difference in bad, poor, and rough?
That's just the grading that they put on it. Yeah. So the bad and the poor, I would probably move up. The fair, I would leave alone. So we phase in those first. Well, yeah, that's what the service guys put on there. I'm just conveying their language.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Jones?
I have two questions. The bad and the fair, if they don't have existing issues, is that based on age, you think? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's just order with which they suggest replacing if we were to do them as a budgeted replacement. I think the second thing I was going to say was, based on the fact that we're not going to replace them until they start going bad, maybe we could put into the budget the ability to replace up to X amount per year, and if one fails, we replace it. But the money's there, we don't spend it, it's allocated for that. Can we do something like that? And it doesn't have to be on this year's budget, even if we're making that decision. In the meantime, we can monitor the cost of that synthetic R-22 that is a lot cheaper and very prevalent. You can find it still to this day. And if we see that start spiking, we make other decisions rather than letting them ride like we're deciding to not have.
Well, and one thing I want to say about this, most of these units are 3 to 5 tons, which are fairly easy to come by. Yeah, those are almost residential. And the point I was making a little earlier was in going through, these are not leaking. We saw almost no recharging, in the past several years on any except maybe one. And I think it was on the archive building. And it was recharged maybe a year and a half ago, and it's been fine ever since. So it could have just been, a fluke. So I don't know, Mr. Mayor, exactly how the maintenance is handled and budgeted in the county.
Well, what we'll do is each year we'll bid out the maintenance. Right now, Comfort Group has the maintenance contract. We'll have to bid that out and then see who wins that bid. Then they'll have the responsibility of servicing those, and they report back to us if we have any leaks or any problems like that. I think Commissioner Jones made a good point. If we allocate the money in capital projects, and it's earmarked for that, we only spend it on that as they go. That gives us the ability to address it when we need to, but yet not have to go out and do them all at one time.
Yeah. Commissioner Wade.
I like Mr. Jones's recommendation. I would make a motion to, I hate to put a number, like 8 units or 10 units, or a dollar amount. So how many units were on here, Mr. Mayor? how many
I don't remember the
adjustments.
exact count, no, I didn't total them up.
Just come up with an average number per unit, maybe, you know, have it work. Have a dollar amount.
And probably 45, 50 units.
I would think that we could put out a dollar amount, like $250,000, but if we don't spend a dime of it,
Yeah.
we don't spend a dime.
Just roll it over the next year.
Just roll over to the next year, so I would,
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Mayor, that
Could we make a motion, it ought to be a recommendation to the budget, because we can't really do anything here. We can send them a proposed plan, because their hands are really tied this year, budget-wise.
That's what I was saying, it could be on next year's budget, because we're not doing anything
Worse
yet.
this year.
but if we do have 5 of them break down for whatever reason, it'd be nice to have some money in there. And there's, Mr. Mayor, is there any other emergency money that you can go to, or no, you can't. So,
I mean, when we have emergencies, we just come to you.
Yeah.
And you have to allocate it.
yeah. So Chairman Hyde, you believe that we should make a recommendation to budget?
I think that's all we can legally do, because we cannot set aside money ourselves as a committee. We can recommend to the budget what we would like to see done.
Okay. All right.
That essentially was the motion, wasn't to say 250, but just a recommendation of up to that amount.
Basically, give them our plan.
Yeah, and just replace as needed.
Okay. So we've got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
2 noes and 5 ayes. Passes. We'll move on to the next item. Okay. Item F, progress on securing Coffeetown Post Office and the Draper House. We asked the mayor to do that last month, and I know that there's some ribbon around it, and, Mr. Mayor, if you could address that.
It's my understanding y'all voted on the voluntary fund, and to date, there's no money in that fund. So we put the tarp on it, but we were supposed, the public was going to give money, and then we were going to secure the contractors for it. But we haven't received any money yet.
I thought it was the reverse. I thought you were gonna get prices, and then they would come up with the money.
I mean, what do you want done? You want the roof replaced, or you just want tin over the hole?
No, we had talked about replacing the roof,
The right way.
the right way.
Okay, so-
On the back section that was stolen.
The understructure and the canyon.
Yeah, and then we had talked about putting a camera on it. They were running a camera, so the red pickup that continues to confiscate will stop. And number 3, to do whatever we needed to do to secure the windows and the doors so that people would not enter either of the buildings.
Okay, we'll put a bid package together and put that out
That'd be great.
this week, yeah. Windows and doors secure, camera, and roof replacement.
Do we need to make a motion for discussion?
That's a question.
Then we need a motion.
Okay,
Motion discussion.
second. I'll make the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
So when you get that quote, we're gonna wait until next month to hear it, or do you need to give that quote to the group that decided to raise the money?
I would think that could be done,
I can share it as soon as I get it.
yeah, as soon as you can share it.
Do we need to take action on it once you share it, or has it already happened since we approved it the full?
I think it would be advisable, however, there is a veto on the 2 resolutions.
Is this included in that?
It's not part,
Just a few minutes. I'll let the mayor speak to that.
What's that?
and
So this has nothing to do with the veto, right?
No.
Okay, so the resolution to allow the nonprofit to contribute money is not part of the veto?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so once he gets the quote for this, can he pass it on, does he have the avenue to pass it on, and can they just proceed without any action from the city?
Mr. Sittler, with the resolution in place, can the mayor directly interact with the nonprofit?
I'll have to reread the resolution, but I think the mayor had the discretion to use those funds for exactly the items referenced.
Yes, they
So
were.
he could take the funds and do what it said.
Okay.
No action needed here?
Yeah, once the funds are there, we just secure the contractors.
Will you just do that then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I said that earlier, I'll send it out as soon as I get it.
Okay, Commissioner Wynn?
Any idea, I mean, is there any money been raised so far? Is there,
No.
Well, we don't know if it's been raised, it's not in any funds. That could be money.
We can suspend the rules and ask the president of the organization.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
No. Okay, wonderful.
There's the, what's the question?
So the question is are there funds available once the mayor gets costs on?
Mr. Chairman, first, are there any funds been raised at this point?
Okay.
Yes,
There are funds raised?
yes, there are funds, and so we're waiting for a number. And I've heard 2,000, that's very doable. If it exceeds that, it's very doable. So I don't see a problem. You know, if you came back at 10,000, we might need to have a conversation about that. You know, but everything I'm hearing, I think we're going to be totally possible.
Any other questions? Go ahead. Okay. And then I think we can move ahead, Mr. Mayor, for license. Mr. Sittler, you'll go ahead and read the resolution again and let us know where we're at with this. Okay, and item G was the one that we will defer on, Farmers and Election Commission's move out since we're now extending litigation.
This is the one we're going to go to executive session on.
I'm sorry?
This is the one we're going to go to executive session.
Executive session, yeah. There's nothing else? No? Go ahead.
I know we need to find a motion to do that, but I don't want to move to that if there's nothing to say, nothing to talk about. With executive session, if there's nothing to say, we don't need to do it. But
I do have an opportunity to review Ms. Nelson's letter before we come here and then late, so.
I think it would be advisable to go into executive session on this right after
Okay.
this meeting. If everybody's got time to do it. Do we need to make a motion
No,
for an
the
executive?
lawyer can ask for it.
Which I'm doing upon adjournment of the public portion of this meeting.
Okay, all right. All right, well then we have one more item.
Motion adjourned.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye.